you did. Okay.
Yep. Okay, with that, I will call to order this special meeting of the Town of Ledyard Planning and Zoning Commission. It is 7 p.m. on May 19th. So present tonight is Commissioners Woody, Cherry. We have alternates Evans and Scanlon. Are there any other commissioners online?
Tom Boudreau's online.
Oh, Tom, glad to hear it. So that's five. So we'll be seating all five of those. Anyone else online? Okay. Also with us, our planner, Liz Burdick, Kyle Felice is here, and Amanda Hutchinson. Is there anyone else that's dialed in?
Deb.
Thank you. Deb's also here. Okay, I've muted all of the lines, so I'll leave it like that for now, and I'm going to unmute Liz so that you can correct me as needed. So we have no additions or changes to the agenda.
No.
What's that?
No additions or changes, Mr. Chairman.
Correct. So I don't believe that we have any citizens petitions, since it's all staff or commissioners here. So first up, under old business, we have the proposed ag regulations. So no action here tonight. Ms. Burdick has put up a initial rough draft of those regs, basically just trying to assemble all of the pieces that we'll need in order to actually put together a final regulation. So that stuff is posted, as well as a couple of other resources. So I expect that we'll pick those up at our next meeting. We'll have some time to polish those up. If any of the commissioners have input on that, by all means, forward that on to myself or Ms. Burdick. Next up, under new business, we'll have application PZ2001 site. This is 740 Colonel Ledyard Highway. This is for a site plan approval for a change of use from discontinued Ledyard Center School to commercial space. This is a site plan review only. There are 3 sheets, as well as the application attached here, as well as comments from Steve Maslin, the Director of Public Works, who stated there were no changes. However, Ms. Burdick, do you want to discuss your comments?
Yes, so it's been a busy week, and I was just able to finish up my review today, and I, off the top of my head, I think I had 28 comments of deficiencies. So I have forwarded those to Attorney Heller and Peter Gardner, and they submitted this afternoon a request to continue, and Nate, you'll find that at the bottom. I think I emailed that to you.
I got it. I just figured if you wanted to introduce it, that was fine.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's so I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's for the Ledyard Center School. The property owner would like to go forward with phase 1 commercial development. So what he wants to do is he wants to put in a new parking lot to accommodate the commercial uses in the front of the school only. He has 2 tenants that he secured, a retail package store and a daycare center, which will be at the end with the playground. And before he can get any building permits to build out the sites, he needs site plan approval for the uses. So that's where we are. They submitted plans last week. Mr. Maslin looked at them. I finished my review today, but I also want the fire marshal to take a look at them, as well as the building official for handicap access.
Yeah, that's fine. So I saw Mr. Heller's request for a special meeting to review that. My feeling is that we've only got 3 weeks until our next regular meeting. So unless that is turned around to your satisfaction, in the next 2 days, I don't intend to hold a special meeting for that. I don't think we'll shave much time off of anything for them. So.
And actually, he actually, there is a bulldozer in front of the building, but we have stopped him from using it. Just so all of you know.
That's kind of a hard spot to get away with that in town.
And also, the mayor, when the bulldozer went there, got about 1 million emails thinking, why are you letting him tear the school down? You said you wouldn't. So, of course, we explained it to him. So perhaps, if you talk to people in the public, you can let them know that he is not tearing the school down.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we'll wait on that. We'll table that for now and expect to pick it up in June. Next item on the agenda is the reason that we're all here. So this is discussion of policies regarding outdoor dining and other uses during the COVID-19 state of emergency. Basically, the governor issued an executive order to allow outdoor dining only for now at restaurants. And included with that was a bunch of sort of modified restrictions on how that could move forward. And so there's a couple of strange things that happen here about who reviews these and how they can be denied and all that. I don't think we need to go into that too much. We're fortunate we only really have a half dozen or so restaurants for whom this applies to. The planning department put together a pretty nice checklist and permit that's already been run through the building department, fire marshal, the mayor's office. So they've already signed off on this. This was, thefted from some of the examples that were on the listserv. So this has been pretty well vetted, I think. Ms. Burdick, do you have anything that you want to say about this?
No, again, the building official and the fire marshal sent me information from the state building official and state fire marshal's office, which information I took from there, put directly on the checklist, the guidelines. Ledge Light Health District does not have to sign off on our permit, but they do have a lovely checklist online. So I've included that, and we've posted the restaurant application and guidelines online on the website. And also, Kyle went around yesterday with the draft policy and also with the application form so we can get it to people ahead of time.
Yeah, I appreciate Kyle doing that. I saw that note come around, and that's great because the goal here is that all restaurants that are open, we're trying to get them to fill out a permit so that we have a record of all of the restaurants in town that are essentially serving outdoor. He's given some of the enforcement issues. It's just trying to make it easy so that we've got all of our bases covered. Yeah, I think that's everything there. So I have unmuted the line. Are there any questions from commissioners? Good evening, Mr. Friesen.
Good evening.
If I could,
Mr. Cherry?
My initial reading of the governor's executive order, I thought included outdoor retail also. So this covers restaurants pretty well. I think it does a good job of making sure that it's an accessory use, that they have to have an existing restaurant to be able to do it. So good job.
Ms. Burdick, I saw you raising your hand. You're muted, Ms. Burdick.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I was going to incorporate the outdoor retail into that, but I wanted to just get the restaurants done for now. It is my intention to put together guidelines for the outdoor retail as well. And in fact, the town of Stonington forwarded me what they approved last week, and they had a really nice little checklist. So Keith Brines is the town planner over there, and I spoke with him, and he sent me that information, and I do intend to do one for outdoor retail, but wanted to get through the restaurants first because that's the biggie.
Well, it's funny because most retail establishments that I frequent in Ledyard must be essential because they've all been open. Uh,
Everything in Ledger's essential.
I kind of believe, yeah.
Ms. Burdick, you need a motion of approval of this policy from us?
Well, I think, yeah, at least a consensus, if not, and it's not an approval that we have to advertise, but I think at least a vote on a consensus that you're happy with the guidelines, you're happy with the application form.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that in support of the permit for outdoor dining and included checklist and documentation, and also that we support a similar policy being developed for retail in the near future.
I'll second that.
Thank you. That was Mr. Boudreau.
Yes, sir. I think it's an outstanding job in the checklist.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other discussion from any other commissioners?
Nate, Mike Cherry again. There was some indication in a lot of the correspondence and stuff that was on the listserv and in the governor's notes that you still need a DECD endorsement. I think Representative France had sent that out in an email also.
Ms. Burdick, excuse me.
So I provided in the application form a link to the DECD website and the Reopen Connecticut sector rules, which tells business owners how to self-certify their businesses. Is that what you were talking about, Mike?
Yes, and they need to do that before they can actually invoke the new rules, right?
I'm not sure if it's mandatory, but they say you should self-certify to make your customers at ease and that you've complied with all the rules, and you get a handy dandy little badge to put in your business window so people know that you have self-certified. It probably is mandatory, but I can't say definitely right now.
I'm not sure I saw what the timeline for that was. If the self-certification was prior to opening, I didn't actually see that.
Right. I think it was silent actually, but it just said, please self-certify so that your customers, as well as, your customers know that you've been following the rules for your own safety and for theirs.
Well, so that's probably just another good reason why Kyle is reaching out to everyone, because it opens that communication so that we can make sure that we ask them, make sure that they have gone ahead and done that if they are opening.
Okay.
So with the 10-day to approval, have we gotten any requests or applications? Or I guess we can't until tomorrow.
No, I think that you could, that's why we sent the applications out ahead of time so that we could prepare business owners. I know that one restaurant contacted me and Kyle sent them off the application, and Kyle's been working with all the business owners. Even if they have outdoor seating already, we still need them to fill out an application form so that we know that they're following the social distancing rules. So, for example, Triple B has outdoor seating. We still need to see their floor plan to ensure that. And if they need extra outdoor seating, that can be approved as well. Parks Place has picnic tables and they're not planning to expand any, but if they fill out the application and shoot us a picture of the picnic tables that are already 6 feet apart, we have that on our records and we're covered, as well as the business owner.
Yeah, just a note for everyone, the application is free. This is a free permit process. This is no fee to businesses. It's really just trying to make sure that more than anything, they get access to expertise from the staff about what exactly they need to be doing and what the spacings are. Because there are some complications about, you need to have access to restrooms in this way, and you need to have walkways in this way. And so there are some, just some details in there that might not be clear. And so this really helps staff clean that up as much as possible. Ms. Burdick?
And I just want to let you know, Kyle, Randy, and Jim Mann, they all said that they'll work with all the business owners to expedite it.
Any other comments from commissioners?
Yes, this is Commissioner Scanlon. do you think that because the restaurants will have a reduced capacity, we might see ourselves allowing temporary seating outdoors in parking areas?
Yes, possibly, and they can.
Yeah, so the executive order allows them to do that, and essentially they need to bring in some form of a site plan to staff to be able to demonstrate that the cars and people are separated and that there's still safe vehicle flow in the parking lot.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all.
Yep. Any other questions from commissioners? Hearing none, I'm going to call a vote, and I'm going to do this by roll call just so that we can hear. Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Boudreau?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Gammons?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So motion passes 5-0. Thank you all for doing that. Next item on the agenda is actually a question for the commission from me. So at our last meeting, the planner, in cooperation with the Director of Public Works, had put together a proposal for a lot SIP grant for a multi-use trail or multi-use walkway, pathway, extending from the center of town out to the high school. And we had more discussion about that than I expected. And I thought Commissioner Wood raised a couple of valid questions that pointed out possibly some shortcomings on our side, particularly in the POCD around sidewalk and walkability. And one thought we really don't have is the question that really got me was why we should have the walkway here and prioritizing that location instead of any other location. And so what I was going to propose to the commission, and I talked to Land Use and Public Works about this a couple of weeks ago, is proposing to do a small POCD update to try to inventory our existing sidewalk and walkways in town so that we could really have a bit more of a meaningful conversation about really where we want to see sidewalks developed and where we want to see pathways like this extended. And so it's a couple fold. One, it's to allow us to support grants more effectively. So what we did for that lot SIP grant is essentially say we like pathways. We think pathways are good, but we don't really have an argument about why that particular location is the #1 spot in town that we should pursue that. And it's also reflects upon the conversation that we seem to often have when we do subdivision developments where a area is supposed to have sidewalks, but maybe the sidewalk connects to nothing. And we never really have anything to fall back on to talk about where sidewalks make sense and where they don't make sense. And so if the commission is interested, what I was going to do is, and I actually sort of already started pulling it together, was just pulling together all of the known sidewalks that we've got in town and start figuring out how to get that into a map. And so once we've got that, we can start talking about whether there are priority areas that we should really be pursuing sidewalks, both in terms of grant and in terms of when we see development in town. Any thoughts from the commission? Mr. Cherry?
You know, we had put some stuff in the previous edition of the POCD trying to prioritize our commercial areas, Ledyard Center, Gills Ferry Center. There was a groundswell of public support for a sidewalk from Ledyard Center to the high school. I agree, we need something better. And you know, we need to decide what the town wants. There's some legal cases that would preclude us from putting sidewalks on roads adjacent to a subdivision because it's on the wrong side of the property line. So there's some legal work that needs to be done to see what was it, Butterworth Farms, Buttermore Farms.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I think a priority list. You know, we can't do everything, and I think we may this grant may detract from our ability to put the sidewalks from the library to the post office that we've been after for a long time, and the Main Street grant we had for Route 12 Military Highway Hurlbut area that we were talking about for a long time. We actually had put in a Main Street grant request. So I agree. I concur.
Any other commissioners? Hearing no comments, then I intend to leave that as a standing item on our agenda as we work on it. We'll be looking for volunteers, for people who are interested and/or willing to help me collect that data. And so we'll start moving that forward through our regular meetings.
I'll help you with that, Nate.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Boudreau.
I'll help you with that.
I appreciate that, Tom. I'll hold you to it.
I expect you will.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of data collection that we've got to do in order to get this right, and so I certainly appreciate it. Next up, we have approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Jerry.
I'll second it. Do we have any corrections here? I actually don't have it open. Give me 1 second to open it. Does anyone have any items here? Looks okay to me. Hearing no corrections, I'll go ahead and call the vote. I'll once again call a roll call vote. Mr. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. Boudreau?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Scanlon?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Motion passes 5-0. I always really like the unmute timeout that you get between asking someone and getting a response. Okay, next up, I have no correspondence reports. Ms. Burdick, do you have a verbal planner report?
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
You are. Here, I'm going to mute everyone else first, so give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, you should be unmuted.
Okay, so despite the COVID-19, we've been really busy at Town Hall, with our regular thing. In the last few weeks, I've been working on the ag regs. I've been working on the LOTSIP grant. I have been working on the CDBG grant. We're finishing that up. That'll be submitted on Thursday, and I'm crossing my fingers because we really, really need that grant. And then just the usual suspects. We are still getting a lot of calls. I got a call today about open space in the town and can we start walking on it? So people are thinking of other ways to have some outdoor recreation. And that's about it off the top of my head. I'm sorry I didn't have anything prepared, but really the whole week I've been working on this restaurant thing.
So with the comment about open space, I would like to say the Conservation Commission has put out all of the new GIS enabled maps for the town. So all of the trails that they maintain in town have nice online maps. All those are available on the town website. So I'll go ahead and advertise for those. There's a hike Ledyard program that you can also find on the Facebook page and things like that. So I encourage people definitely, as the weather's been warming up, get outside and enjoy the trails in town.
Nate, may I just ask a question? Is that hike Ledger program and could we put a link to that on our town website, for people so that they can, a link like on the front page,
I don't see why not.
Possible. I don't know how much room is there and what we can put there, but I can check that out. Sort of move the link so it's a little bit more, visible to residents.
Yeah, no, it would be good advertising. So yeah, I think it would make sense, because people are certainly looking to get outside. So yeah, yep.
That's it.
Is Kyle online?
I thought he was.
Kyle, are you online? We don't appear to have a Kyle.
I can see his name. It's weird.
Yeah. And I just unmuted everyone to try to make sure, but I guess he's not. So there is a written CEO report that's attached to the agenda. If there are any questions from that, certainly we can pass them on to Ms. Burdick, and she can pass them on to Kyle. I understand they probably talk fairly often.
Yes, and actually Kyle is, we were doing some sort of, split shifts for our office, but Kyle's back in, all day now. So as am I.
Yeah. I noticed the impressive array of pool permits, so it clearly is the season.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I was quite surprised at that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We weren't.
You missed it earlier, Tom. We were discussing pool temperatures, I think, before you got online. So.
I think a lot of people are doing staycations now.
Yeah, well, I know we opened ours earlier than we have ever opened it before. Mainly so that we'd have some body of cold water that we could throw the kid into to keep her busy for a while. So, I understand it all. With that, I will make a motion to adjourn at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
The fastest we've ever had.
Wow.
It was indeed. Well, I appreciate everyone dialing in on an unusual day. When we realized we weren't going to be able to hold it last week, we realized that with the office being closed on Friday, having our meeting on a regular Thursday was not going to be great. So I appreciate people being flexible and figuring out how to get here so that we can get this done. So I appreciate it all. Everybody stay safe. Keep yourself busy and entertained. And we'll talk to you all in a couple of months. And, if anybody needs anything or anything, feel free to contact me and we'll get you sorted out. So stay safe, everybody.
Bye now.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good meeting.